My dog Marcus. Do you have a pet dog? What breed is it? What do you like most about it? I too have a pet dog. It is a Saint Bernard. We call it Marcus. It is a huge, handsome dog, but quite lazy and stupid. Anyone who has met Marcus will not believe that he recently had an idea. It was certainly the first idea he has ever had, and I can't imagine how he got it. The idea had something to do with making life easy for Saint Bernards. It is Marcus's belief that a day should consist of 16 hours of sleep, 6 hours of rest, and 2 hours of intensive eating. However, Marcus is occasionally called on to work, if you could call it work. He is occasionally called to take a walk after breakfast, as far as the nearest corner and back. A real dog would look forward to such a thing, trembling in joy. But to Marcus it was nothing less than slavery. His idea then was something like this. If I were deaf, I couldn't hear when they called me for my walk, and they wouldn't be able to move me, so I will pretend to be deaf. One morning, Marcus put his plan into action. My wife came to me with a disturbed look on her face. "Poor Marcus has gone deaf," she exclaimed. "Deaf?" I cried. "But he could hear perfectly well last night." I went into the kitchen and called him lovingly. "Coming for a walk, Marcus?" Marcus, like a perfect actor, gazed at me pathetically. It looked as though he was dying to hear what I was saying. After a good deal of shouting, we left him where he was. He rested his big head on its front paws and again went to sleep. We remained constantly worried about him. It took us a few days to notice that Marcus was only partly deaf. He could hear anything connected with food. One Sunday I was carving a joint when a tiny scrap of meat slipped from the fork and dropped on the carpet. Although Marcus was asleep in the kitchen some distance away, he hurtled into the dining room and gulped it down. "Hey, aren't you deaf?" I said. Marcus's jaw and tail both dropped. He seemed to remember he was deaf. Not much later he failed to hear 3 repeated commands to come out for a walk. But he leapt to his feet at the arrival of the butcher. Now we became pretty sure that he was only pretending to be deaf. In the end, my wife and I decided that Marcus had to be cured of his deafness. Marcus had gone deaf. We decided we would go silent. When Marcus was around, we would go through the actions of speaking, but would not say a word. At first, Marcus looked lazily puzzled, but soon he became really worried. Had he gone really deaf? The horrible part was, we might be talking about food. The thought of what he might be missing was real torture to him. As we mouthed silently at each other, Marcus would stare painfully into our faces, trying to lip read. He was now never called for meals, so it was doubtful if he was having 16 hours of real sleep out of the 24, and he worried himself down to half his weight. We kept this up for several days. Then we decided to restore Marcus's hearing. One morning, I said in a loud voice, "Come on, Marcus, time for your walk, boy." An expression of beautiful relief appeared over his vast face, so he was not deaf at all. He bounded to his feet. He frisked to the gate like a lively pony. He joyously took one of the longest walks of his life, of about half a kilometer. Marcus was not troubled again with his deafness.